the two major things I've been talking about is it's like sustainable lifeboats and the day after tomorrow. And most of everything that you guys have been talking about are basically false flags. Look, children, over here, ISIS is beheading people. Look, children, over there, money is about to hit a brick wall. Yes, of course, these are all important issues to discuss. But in fact, as a scientist, I would be remiss if I did not mention Fukushima. And if we had a day after tomorrow, what happens to all those nuclear reactors that need electric current if the grid were to go down? There's now talk in Japan about the fact that there were more meltdowns across that country than were mentioned to the public. And when you realize that it's the Yakuza that is doing cleanup, I mean, where does that go? Germany has been doing the cleanup for Europe for more than 20 years. And where do they put their nuclear waste? Africa. And that's where you think you have. Did you know that the symptoms for radiation sickness is exactly the same as Ebola? Now, I don't know what's going on, and my pay grade certainly does not allow me access to the 1%ers and what they're doing right now. Bugging out, bugging in, whatever. Presuming we survive what we will call a near extinction event about to happen on Earth. That kind of thing right now is what is a false flag. What do you think geoengineering is about? And the planes that are doing Southern Oregon down here are coming out of Chilliwack, Canada. That's the United Nations. So with that said, the American public, there's your mind control. People know that it's wrong and yet are not doing anything about it. How's that work? You know, global warming. There's global warming on both the sun and Pluto. NASA just came out yesterday talking about the seasons on the sun and how they're changing. There is an object coming in off of ecliptic out near Neptune that made the front pages of Science Digest, Science News last month, Planet X. We don't know what it is, but it's absolutely affecting our sun. Matt Stein talks about a coronal mass ejection that will drop the grid. That's just the beginning. Listen, the whole problem is that someone thinks that not telling you is for your own good. And nobody's as smart as me. I am a polymath. And nobody's telling me what's about to happen. How is it that someone has the right to make judgment on what I need to know? I don't know. Nobody knows. The perturbations in both Neptune and Uranus and Pluto are now showing an object. It's a mathematical thing that you can show that there's something out there coming in. It's small. It's probably, NASA says, about 5.5 times the size of Earth, but it's heavier, probably nickel. I don't know. What we do know is the sun's heating up. And the coronal mass ejections that we're getting now are going to take the grid out. We had a kill shot less than 2 months ago when a plasma filament went off in the opposite direction of the sun and the Earth lucked out. Now, we would have been back to the Stone Age. Oh, wait, there are historical documents of this event occurring 3,600 years ago. You know, that's the culture in Peru actually show the sun burping. They have a drawing of it. There it is. And anthropology has known about this for more than 200 years. That's because all of this is related to the day after tomorrow. It's about the fact that the sun and what its activities do have an absolute effect on life on Earth. And what's happening now is that less than 4 days ago, Antarctica was at 64 degrees. It was in the media. And ice in Greenland is melting their polar caps. Okay, that means we're having a desalinization of the sea. It's happening right now. And as a result, chemtrails, geoengineering, trying to stave off while we buy a little extra time to get further underground. Because when that occurs and the Gulf Stream and Gulf currents change, and they are, okay, that means a mini ice age, just like in the movie. And it's going to drop 10 degrees every second until it reaches temperatures approaching that of the planet Mars. Now, it won't last. It's a mini ice age. You're going to have frost lines. You're going to go to 10 feet down as far as Texas. It's going to be just like in the movie where smart money now is moving to Costa Rica. Listen, you guys are all smart enough to realize there's something wrong going on here. And the media is absolutely owned by, what do they call them now? International corporations, companies that are so big, they are, like one company is 40 times the national gross product of the United States. Now, with that means there's money going on elsewhere. And we are not being told anything. Alternative radio has so much disinformation out there. Listen, I am the physicist that's trying to tell you none of us are being told what's really happening. And for a fact, I have a stinking suspicion that it is a near extinction event and that there's nothing you can do about it anyway. So there's opportunities here for empowerment and to raise the level of consciousness in mankind. NASA, who has put out the War After Next, the future weapon of war, it has a timeline, and by 2050, there won't be anything human. It'll be transhumanism and the Avatar program. We already have an Avatar 1. So there it is. That's what NASA's saying. That's where all your money's going, is this massive collection of how to survive. What do you think? We're already on Mars, never interested in the moon. Complications in getting there. Wanting artifacts from previous tech civilizations like Atlantis and Greece. That's what we're about right now. And because we're in that stage, we have a fiduciary responsibility of teaching those that can be a survivor, not the 1%ers. That's a weird gene pool. Imagine where that goes. I wrote a technical paper on that for Nexus magazine that's in print. And it's called the Neutron Fullerene Fusion Bomb. And basically, you form a buckyball with exclusion zone water inside it, and you ignite it with a teleportation laser from Lockheed, triggered with a laser from space, or any of us know about. That weapon, by the way, existed with the Mossad. They gave it to the United States. I don't think the Mossad was involved with 9/11, but I know they knew about it. And the whole research took place at Carnegie Mellon and Lockheed in California with Livermore, and they've got a laser now that teleports, which is primarily used for communication. You don't need encryption, It basically bends space-time. We have a magnetic quantum pole that does that. There are technologies out there right now being implemented that the public has no clue. And so, heads up. Hang on, it's going to be a bumpy ride. I believe it's the way the movie ends. Yeah, in Ice Age, you're going to have frost lines 10 feet. When the snow finally melts 2 years later, you're going to find there's no seed that is viable in the soil, and there's no organisms. It's the sand of Mars. It'll be like that. It'll be done the way. Now, there'll be places where it lives, where the jungles are now. That's the best guesses. However, a volcano has so much more pollution than anything you can imagine. I was and lived up near Mount St. Helens when it went off. I was there. I've seen what that's about. So with that, and the next 5 years, 5 inches of powdered sand that God gave man as a new soil up near Spokane. And so with that, there's going to be some changes on Earth, literally. There's going to be a lot of people that don't make it. And there's no way. There's 2 million people a week being born on Earth. 2 million each week, more in raising our population. What's wrong with that? Where is that going to go, especially if we're in a spaceship with limited resources? We don't have an instruction manual on how to run it, and our people tinkering with life support. It's already got global warming. It was 64 in Antarctica 2 days ago. What do you think that's doing to the ice shelf? Now, what the seas are rising. The Day After Tomorrow movie is possibly the most accurate science in science fiction today, including Interstellar and Five Space. And so with that, Akashic records, I don't know how archetypally there are schisms happening in consciousness with alien abduction, targeted individuals that may or not be what's happening. It is that that's the way we can comprehend something we have no concept of yet. So rhesus negative is an unknown genome blood type, 4 blood types that now make Homo sapiens sapiens. And we don't know where it came from. If I were an alien, for example, that might be a good place to hide. And the battle for Earth is going on inside each of us as a metaphor for archetypal encounters. Now, the blood types of rhesus negative, which is now in everybody, not O negative and O positive. It was rhesus negative with the O system. We have no idea where that genome came from. And O is known, but not rhesus negative. And when that said, where did it come from? That's white pie. Possibly we were manufactured. That's one metaphor. It's a metaphor because there's something more going on here. When I came out of graduate school, I knew physics was not giving me my answers. Where'd he go? So I studied 6 years with Gershom Scholem. I did my translations with Old Hebrew and Greek, and going into the old Bibles and doing my own translations. I am a Hermetic Kabbalist. And I can tell you, I didn't find answers there either, by the way. However, what I did find is the idea of the Book of Formation, Sefer Sephirah, which relates sound to words. There's Gabriel, and the way I understand it. I'm a physicist. I have to have a physical representation before I can go off into other planes. That's what we call holographic. And I don't have these answers. What I know is there's something more going on, and we are basically, how did Joseph Campbell put it? Yes, he said, when you see the kingdom of the Father on earth, the apocalypse has already occurred. It is perpetual in its potential. It is part of the length, girth, and width of what we are. And so there will always be this apocalypse as part of our what's going to happen kind of thing, survival circuit, if you will. So it was my great-grandfather in a Swiss lodge that told Rudolf Steiner, he said, quote, "We are no longer at war in the physical world, that if we wish to change this world, we change ourselves and the world changes with us. One step at a time. While I'm too old to probably save this world, I'm absolutely going to walk my talk so that my daughter learns how to do it. The children are watching us. We need and have a fiduciary responsibility for making certain that they are taught correctly.